Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Tanya and in this video I want to talk about books. This is one of my favorite topics ever because I really like reading. I can't say that I am a heavy reader. I do not read like a lot, but I do this every day, maybe for like 20 minutes or 40 minutes, but I do this every single day because this is like one of my favorite things. And today I want to share with you all the books I've read in 2021, and I will give you like a little description of every book, and of course I will share my opinion. But I am this kind of person who do not really read reviews, and I don't like to leave reviews for the books. When I'm deciding on reading a book, I usually just read the description and look at the rating of this book, and that's it. I like to build my own opinion first and then maybe read other people's opinion. So that's why in this video I decided to give you just a short description of each book so you can decide whether you want to read it or not. Actually, I filmed similar video last year, so if you didn't see it, check it out. It's over here. And yeah, let's get started. So the first book, called Zulihan by Guziel Yahina. This novel is a historical fiction inspired by stories told to the author by her grandmother, and the fictional setting of the novel is based on the labor settlement in the northern part of Russia, where the author's grandmother was exiled as a child with her parents. And originally this book is written in Russian, of course, and I read it in Russian, but it has been translated into like 22 languages, in English as well. And it's really interesting, and not only in the historical perspective, but also the plot is really interesting, and I couldn't stop reading it. I managed to read it like in 2 or 3 days, so I highly recommend this book. The next one is The Intelligent Investor. This book is written by Benjamin Graham, and probably you know this book because it is so popular, and everyone says if you want to start investing, just start with reading this book. And honestly, it was like the most boring reading of my life, but I cannot say that this book is bad. This book is really great. There are a lot of information, a lot of like historical information as well. So if you are investing or you just want to go deeply into this area, I recommend reading it. But I'm just not an investor, and I understand that I have to start this someday, but I think that I'm not ready yet for this serious stuff. Book number 3 is The Complete Middle School Study Guide. Everything you need to ace American history in one big fat notebook. I read it in English, and I read it because I realized that I wasn't really well versed in American history. So I bought this book that briefly describes the history of the United States. It's written in the simplest possible language, so it was easy to read, and it was really interesting for me because when I was learning history in my home country, in Russia, mostly we were learning like Russian history or Soviet Union history or Russian Empire, and we didn't have a lot of other countries' history, so it was really important for me to read because I'm going to live my life in the United States. And maybe if you are already good at American history, you can recommend this book to your child. The next book is A Traitor's Guide to North Korea by Morton Travik. I read it in Russian, and the author of this book is a controversial multimedia artist from Norway whose work was like spreading the Norwegian culture and cultural exchange with North Korea since 2008, and he interacted a lot with North Korea politicians, with inhabitants of the country. And if you don't know a lot of North Korea, or if you heard just some horrible things about this country, I recommend you to read this book because the author kind of opens your eyes. He dispels some myths about this country, and most importantly, he just talks about the life of ordinary people of North Korea, and it is really interesting, and it was really fast and easy reading for me. Maybe because I love Korea and learned Korean language and I like Korean culture, but if you are like me, you will definitely like this book. The next one is The Master and Margarita. I reread this book for the 3rd time. Of course, I have read it in Russia because it was written in the Soviet Union, but the Soviet Union author Mikhail Bulgakov. And this is a satirical dark comedy which has really interesting plot lines. And basically this is a story about a devil who visited the officially atheistic Soviet Union. Many critics consider this book to be one of the best novels of the 20th century, and I think that everyone should read this. My next book is Adventures in Human Being, a Grand Tour from the Cranium to the Calcenium by Gavin Francis. Yeah, I think that this book is really small. It has like a bit more than 300 pages. I read it in Russian, and the author is a physician. This book was super interesting for me, but maybe it will not be so interesting if you are a physician or if you have like a medical education. But I am not, so I found a lot of interesting things about the human's body. And the author is a surgeon with extensive experience in various fields, so he talks about different kind of diseases, different medical concepts, and he managed like to combine all this medical dry information with the great writing style, so it was really pleasant and interesting to read. Next book is the Studio Ghibli by Colin Oil and Michel Leblanc. I guess it's written like this. I of course read it in Russian as well, and I guess that this book is probably more suitable for fans of the Studio Ghibli and the animations of Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli and anime lovers. I did not like the translation into Russian language, but in general I learned quite a lot of facts about this studio, and I also wrote out some of the Ghibli movies for myself that I haven't seen yet. So if you like Hayao Miyazaki and his movies, I recommend reading this book. Maybe you will find a lot of interesting facts. Book number 8 is Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. This book is really small, and this is a New York Times bestseller. It's a short and informative book for those who want to create something on their own while kinda relying on the work of other artists. And I was pretty interested in reading this, and it was useful for me because I am a blogger, as you may notice, and there are a lot of kind of tips how to unlock your creativity, how to get inspiration, and how to create more interesting and engaging arts. Plus it has like 140 pages and a lot of pictures, so it took me 1 hour to read, and I got a lot of useful information from there. The next book is I don't actually know how to correctly translate this in English because I read it in Russian, and this book was written I guess in German. Yeah, in German. But literally it's translated like What Our Skin Hides. So basically this book is everything about our skin from a medical point of view, and I personally found it quite interesting to read, even though I already like knew half of this material about our skin, because I like makeup, I like skincare, and I've read a lot about our skin before. But I think that this book is really useful for everyone if you want to know how to take care of your skin properly. Book number 10. Yeah, it's not one book, it's actually 3 books. This is Atlas Shrugged, I think. Yeah, and this is a novel written in 1957 by Ayn Rand. This is the best reading of the year for me, and this is like the top 5, I guess, of novels that I've read in my life. I literally couldn't stop reading this. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, because I liked reading it so much. And the book depicts a dystopian United States. I really like books about dystopias. This book was criticized a lot, but it had a lot of great reviews too. So I think you just need to read it if you want to create your own opinion about this book. And the novel is a little bit controversial from a political point of view, and the author covers a lot of like economical, political questions. There are a lot of like philosophical questions as well, but if you don't like the point of view of the author, you will probably like the novel and the plot of it, because the writing is so engaging by itself that you will probably enjoy reading it anyway. The next book is Thinking Fast and Slow by Danielle, and I read it in Russian because it is quite huge and I didn't want to spend a lot of time reading this in English. Yeah, I still read in English a little bit slower than in Russian. This book was written in 2011 by Israeli psychologist. I'm not a big fan of psychological books, but if you are, you will enjoy it, I think. But as for me, there are a lot of conceptions and a lot of information that I already somehow knew, so I didn't get a lot of excitement while reading it. I think there were a lot of obvious things, but I don't know, if you're deciding whether to read it or not, I would recommend you to read more reviews or maybe more detailed description of this book and only then decide. Book number 12 is The Art of Tom Clancy's The Division. Yep, I have this book and actually it's not mine, it's my husband's, and I'm not a big fan of video games, but I was really enjoying just, you know, looking at the pictures in this book, looking at the art and reading about the process of creation of this game, particularly creation of the arts for this game. There are a lot of beautiful pictures, a lot of beautiful graphics and photos, so if you like video games or if you like art, I think you would probably enjoy this book. So we are almost done. The next book is The Little Book of Shrugged, Danish Secrets to Happy Living. I read it in Russian, but the version in English, the cover looks exactly the same. And this book is so warm, cozy, and it was just so pleasant to read. I wrote down some tips on how to make my house, my home, more cozy and how to get more happiness just from being home. And I think that I will definitely incorporate these tips in my daily life, in my daily routine. And if you want to be maybe a little bit happier, or if you want to make your home a little bit cozier, I recommend you reading this book. Plus, it's not so big. It has only like 200 pages and a lot of beautiful cozy pictures, and I really like it. I will definitely reread it for inspiration when I will decorate my future house. And the last but not least is Musicophilia, Tales of Music and the Brain by Oliver Sacks, I guess. In Russian his name sounds like Oliver Sacks, which is not really great. And in this book, Dr. Sacks investigates the power of music to move us, to heal, and to haunt us. So he talks about different genetic diseases and illnesses and how music influences them and how music can change our life, about musical hallucinations, about people with absolute musical skills. It's really interesting. The translation into Russian is not so great, but I enjoyed reading it anyway because I love music, I love singing, playing instruments, so I enjoyed it. And if you love music, or if you are interested in medicine and how your brain works, you will definitely love this book. So yeah, as I already said, I'm not a heavy reader. I read just 14 books this year, the previous year, but I think it's more important not how many books you read, but it's important to enjoy reading. And yeah, this is it for today. Leave me a comment down below if you read some of these books, and I will glad to hear your opinion. And if you have some books that you want to recommend me, you are more than welcome to leave a comment and I will check it out. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I see you in my next one. Bye bye!